Hi, my name's Sophie.
Hi, my name's Harriet. We're here down in the National Portrait Gallery for #Picture the Poet.
We've already bumped into Ian Macmillan and we're hoping to get an interview with him later today.
We just stopped for a cup of tea and then we'll be back with you later.
And that was the kind of excitement that we were after with Picture the Poet. So, for me, the project was about glee and delight and happiness.
Many of them had never seen performance poetry before, and it blew their minds in terms of having that live performance, but then also being able to do it themselves.
And that's how I got them to remember what poetry was.
So, in those discussions, they actually hit upon the method of calling it a lyrics workshop, which we were okay with that, and it just gave us the opportunity to go in under the radar and introduce the P word.
So this is called Crazies. We're the rainbow-eyed misfits. We say the things that the people never dare to say, but we do it by accident. We dance with words and we write with music. We wear ourselves inside out and back to front. We get stared at in the street, but we don't mind, because we know that they're the weird ones, really. I mean, when did having no imagination become normal?
Hi, I'm Sophie Hampton and I'm here with the Young Journalist Academy interviewing Ian Macmillan at the National Portrait Gallery in London. So, before you started writing poetry, what sort of things did you want to do when you were younger?
I think when I was young, I always wanted to be a writer. I didn't think it was going to be poetry. I thought it might end up being novels. I had this very specific image of me sat in a room with a corduroy jacket on, with leather patches on the elbows, sitting there and kind of thinking, and every so often writing a few words, then perhaps looking around and thinking again. I always wanted to be a writer, but maybe poetry came second, I guess. So it was always writing, but not always poetry.
Okay, so what really inspired you to start writing poetry instead of going off the novel?
It was three things. It was me. If poetry comes to you before you're born, then my dad had got this auntie who was a poet. And so she used to write poems, and she used to write him these rhyming letters. So if poetry arrives to you before you're born, then it came to me through that. So he was always reading me these rhyming letters. The second reason was at junior school in particular, I was really encouraged. My junior school was like a little arts centre. We had poetry, we had song, we had dance, and they said, you can do it, you can do this, you can be a writer, you can be a singer, you can be a dancer, you can do whatever you want. So I thought, well, I'd like to be a poet. Then at secondary school, I could point to one particular teacher, Mr. Brown, who said, you can write poems. So I think a lot of us, as poets as anybody, can point to one person who encourages us. So it's before I was born, it was my dad's auntie. When I was at junior school, it was the whole thing about the school. And when I was at secondary school, it was one particular teacher, Mr. Brown.
Okay, and so what was your first poem published in a book or online?
It was published in the school magazine in 1972, so a long time ago. I was born in 1956, so I'll be about 16. And I can only remember the title of it. It was called Zoismic Poem, because I thought the word zoismic, I think I made it up, and it just sounded really good. And it was really serious. I'm quite a serious chap, but I like to make people laugh as well. But this was such a serious poem, Zoismic Poem. Can't remember much about it, but I remember seeing it on the page. That was so exciting. My poem there on the page, surrounded by white space. My name underneath, Ian Macmillan. It was so exciting. And in the school magazine, that was great. That was the first one I had published. I remember the first one I wrote, which was not published, and that was at junior school, and it was called My Budgie. And it went, I have a little budgie in a cage of green. It is the cutest budgie that you have ever seen. And I thought it was so good. It was a lie as well, because I've got a canary, but nothing round the canary except hairy. So you can make things up in poems. That's a fact.
And have you got any advice for new and willing poets?
Yes, I would say read as much poetry as you can. Write poetry all the time. Get a notebook and just write things down. Write things down endlessly. Listen in to people. I tweet a lot. I'm always listening to what people say, and I tweet. Listen to people, watch people, and if they're going, what are you looking at me for? Go, it's all right, I'm writing poems about it. They'll go, that's fine. So write all the time, read all the time, listen to other poets, and I think we're in a good time for poetry at the moment. A lot of poetry is happening. So I think always have a go, and publish it yourself, publish it online, but there's plenty of room. There's room for us all.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. Hope
Thank
you have a
you.
nice
Thanks
day.
for asking me. They were great questions.